Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Viking.TV's At Home Inn. This week we are in Juneau, Alaska's capital city. I'm Beth Monahan from TEMSCO Helicopters. TEMSCO has been operating in Alaska for over 60 years and is Alaska's original helicopter glacier tour operator. We are happy to welcome Viking guests both here in Juneau and in Skagway, Alaska on once-in-a-lifetime helicopter tours. Whether you dream of walking on stunning blue glacier ice or zipping through the snow on a sled pulled by Alaskan Huskies, TEMSCO Helicopters is sure to have a tour that will leave you with memories that will last a lifetime. Today, I will be showing you around my hometown, Juneau, Alaska. There are endless opportunities to adventure here in Juneau. I'll be showing you a few of my favorites. But first, I want to give you a little background on Juneau. The story of Juneau would not be complete without speaking about its Alaskan native heritage. Juneau is the ancestral home of the Tlingit and Haida people, and we are honored to live and work on this land. The Tlingit people have owned and occupied the entire region of Southeast for several thousand years. 700 or 800 years ago, the Auke Kwan had their principal winter village in Auke Bay, but they regularly dispersed to fish camps and villages at the mouths of streams along the Gastineau Channel, which provided salmon and other fish, and upstream routes to hunting and trapping areas. Kahini, now known as Gold Creek, was the biggest source of salmon. 2 smokehouses were still there when gold was discovered in Juneau in 1880. The U.S. Navy visited the village at Auke Bay in that year to encourage the residents to seek employment in the mines. In 1881, there were 450 Tlingits and 150 miners living in what became Juneau. In the same year, the Tlingits were forced to move outside of the village to unoccupied land to the north and establish the Auke Indian Village on the tidelands adjacent to Kahini. This area underwent great changes during the 20th century as the land grew in value and the tidelands were filled in for development, and the village was cut off from open water. This neighborhood is known today as the Auke Village District. Despite a less than perfect relationship between the indigenous groups and the settlers during the expansion of Juneau from the 1880s until recent decades, Tlingit people, their art, and their culture have evolved to become a vibrant part of the community. The Alaska Native Lands Claims Settlement Act of 1971 defined the areas of land ownership throughout the entire state of Alaska. Tribal organizations and corporations are the largest private landowners and provide significant contributions to the economy. Downtown Juneau is adorned with Tlingit art, Tlingit language, and a cultural center featuring world-class monumental artwork. Visitors and tourists coming to Juneau seek out cultural tours or education opportunities to learn about the Tlingit and their ties to the land. Juneau has become a shining example of what is possible when a city embraces and supports the indigenous people and their culture. Juneau is located in the southeastern region of Alaska and lies along the Inside Passage. The Inside Passage is a sheltered sea route along the Pacific coast of the United States and Canada. Alaskan natives fished these waterways for thousands of years, and then in the late 1800s they were used to bring prospectors to the gold-rich shores of Alaska, and now they are used to bring visitors to this beautiful wilderness that we call home. Most visitors to Juneau arrive by traveling up the Gastineau Channel. This is an offshoot of the larger Inside Passage and takes you right into the heart of downtown. On one side of the channel is mainland Juneau, and the other is Douglas Island. As you come down the Gastineau Channel, you can take in stunning mountain views in every direction. Just blocks away from the downtown Juneau waterfront is the Alaska State Capitol building. Juneau was named the capital of the District of Alaska in 1906. Then, when Alaska gained its statehood 53 years later in 1959, Juneau became the state capital. The building was completed in 1931 to house the federal and territorial legislature. It was then given to the state to be used as the Capitol building, and it is the only Capitol building in the United States that was not originally built to be the state capitol. Today, it hosts the Alaska Legislature, the Governor of Alaska, and the Lieutenant Governor of Alaska. Just across Main Street from the Capitol building, you will find the Juneau Douglas City Museum. Here, you can learn more about Juneau's history with a variety of permanent and rotating exhibits, including Juneau's mining history and Tlingit culture and history. Our next destination allows you to get an even closer look at Juneau's mining history. We are now at Sandy Beach, across the Gastineau Channel from downtown Juneau. As your Viking ship arrives to Juneau, Douglas Island and Sandy Beach will be on your left, and you'll see this building that's behind me as you arrive into town. This is the pump house from the old Treadwell mine in Juneau. It was a gold mine and at one point was the largest hard rock mine in the world. On April 22nd, 1917, the mine caved in. Despite all of the destruction, there were no human casualties of the cave-in. However, there was one man that was not accounted for after the cave-in, but it's said that he used the opportunity to escape town without a trace. All along Sandy Beach, you will see more remnants of the Treadwell mine. There are many trails that run along the beach and in the surrounding woods where you can explore some of this history. One of the best ways to experience Juneau like a local is by hiking. There are actually more miles of hiking trails in Juneau than there are paved roads, so you'll never run out of places to discover. One of the newest additions to Juneau's waterfront is Overstreet Park and Taku, the humpback whale. The park was named for former Juneau Mayor Bill Overstreet. On a trip to Japan, Overstreet saw a life-size sculpture of a blue whale in front of Japan's National Museum of Nature and Science, and he wanted to replicate the idea back in Juneau. The sculpture was created by R.T. Wallen and unveiled in September 2016. The park offers a beautiful view down the Gastineau Channel, and on a clear day you can see all the way to the coast mountains. We are now headed to my favorite view in Juneau, the Mendenhall Glacier. If there is one place you must see when you're in Juneau, it's the Mendenhall Glacier. There are so many different ways you can get to see the Mendenhall Glacier, but whatever you do when you're in Juneau, you have to stop by and see it. It looks a little bit different in the summer than it does right now in the winter, but it's beautiful any time of year. One of the most spectacular things about the Mendenhall Glacier is that it is so easy to access. There are a number of trails out to the glacier, and there is something suited for any level of hiker. But there are many opportunities to get even closer to the mighty Mendenhall. You can take a flight with TEMSCO Helicopters to explore on the surface of the glacier, take a guided hike, or canoe to the face of the glacier. The Mendenhall Glacier is the most famous glacier in the Juneau icefield. The icefield is the 5th largest icefield in North America. It stretches from here in Juneau nearly 100 miles north to Skagway, Alaska. The icefield is like a giant lake, and the individual glaciers are like rivers that flow into the valleys below. The Juneau icefield has over 34 major glaciers, as well as hundreds of smaller unnamed glaciers. The icefield is where glaciers are formed. At high elevations, hundreds of feet of snow accumulate and begin to compress. Under its own weight, the layers of snow change from light and fluffy crystals to hard ice. New snow falls and the process continues until this compacted snow forms dense glacier ice. The state of Alaska has an estimated 100,000 glaciers, ranging from tiny cirque glaciers to huge valley glaciers. 5% of the state is covered by glaciers, and there are more active glaciers and ice fields in Alaska than in the rest of the inhabited world. Glaciers once covered almost all of southeast Alaska. Only the tallest peaks stood above the ice and snow. The rounded mountains, winding waterways, and deep valleys in southeast have been carved by the movements of glaciers. Our last stop today is Auke Bay. This is a place that is frequented by visitors and locals alike. Many visitors will come here to board boats, to sightsee and whale watch, and locals will launch their boats to fish and crab. This is one of the best places in all of Juneau to take in the sunset. Right across the way from Auke Bay is one of Juneau's 4 local breweries, Forbidden Peak. It's a great place to warm up and grab a beer after a day of adventuring and exploring. Thank you for letting me show you around Juneau, and we hope to see you here soon. Cheers!